So good evening everyone. Welcome to this class on SQL. So we've done a lot this past few, I don't know what to call it, but and looks like though I mentioned that we still have a long way to go. Okay, so that's what I was working on today. So we still have a long way to go, but I'll just do a summary of where we are coming from, and I'll try to break things easier. I'll break things into chunks. So yeah, this is what we've been working with so far. I think the last class we were able to generate a schema, more of like a connecting point for all our data, everything that we created. So what we've done so far basically is we have tried or we've created all of these tables, right? So coming from SQL, coming from Excel, one thing that we have done, I remember doing was when we were trying to work with, or when we're trying to understand table concepts using, when we're trying to work with the table concept using Jumia. So I think I broke it down into that Jumia is a company that makes sales and have they have different things that they do. So they have employees, they sell products. Let's not forget that they also have dispatch riders. What else? A salary. They have a salary payroll. That's a payroll. So those are little things, and I think this table we can break that into this table. So what we currently have here. So we can just see this as a for instance, you have been called upon as a data analyst for a startup. So let's say Jumia is just another. Let's say I join Jumia, a startup company like that, and you're being called upon or you're being employed as a data analyst, right? Of course, you didn't know that. You thought you were just going to come do SQL, do Excel, do dashboards, and or do Power BI and get off. But then it's a startup where you have to. A startup means they're just starting up, so you mean you have to set up some things. But the truth is, of course, this should not be your responsibility actually. But in a company where it's just uh, a small company that is just starting up and probably don't really understand a lot, and they think what they need is a data analyst. A company, Nigerian company tends to do that a lot. So you come on board and you're being asked, oh, yeah, this is the things, these are the tables. No, they won't tell you tables. They will tell you, oh, these are things we have, or these are the details or records of our company, what we want the companies to look like, and you are going to be managing, just setting up the environment basically. So now to do that, that's why that's one of the reasons why we are doing all of these things with SQL, because SQL is like the base of it. Doing this in Excel wouldn't be very okay, and I think I explained that in the previous classes. So now you have a employee table, right? Let's just say this as a small thing. So you have an employee table where you populate it with just the employees and their details. um yes, you have the branch to keep list of the branch, the managers, and the manager start dates. You also have a branch of suppliers. So the supplier, this table here belongs to the suppliers. So the suppliers that supply the branch. So it means that there's a supplier name, there's a supplier, there's a supply type, then there's a branch ID. That's a branch that this supplier supplies. Then there's also a client that works with the branch, and so it's going to be like different branches and all across. Then you have a client table to client records that works with the branch basically. And I think here you have the employee ID working with the clients basically. So in every branch there's employees. Now those employees work with the clients. So it's not like they work directly with the company. They work with the clients, and the client is employed at the company. So it's like the client is a representative of the company. So I don't know if you get that right. So that's I'm just trying to put a context to what we have here. So the idea is to do something like this. Then now when we have this, we can now get the company run. You can get details into it, start populating it. Of course, like I said, I think I was talking with Abdurrashid in one of the classes that how this get populated. No, I think it was someone else that this get populated. Something you don't get to do this populate it manually, right? It's supposed to be from the back end, probably as a website connected to there's a website connected to the database, and when they fill in their details on the website, it populates this. So for you as a data analyst, you need to be able to interact with this to be able to make analysis in real time, right? So that's what we are trying to do. Basically, that's the summary of everything we are going to do, or we are trying to do anyways. So now, creating all of this, you need to understand how to what you need to create this. Of course, that's like the introduction. That's what we used to do in the introduction. And so we had some syntax, to create a table. So we have understood that we need to create tables. We need to populate them, right? After creating this table, um, for every table, so in this table now you have this employee. You have it's going to be in integers. The first name is going to be in characters. The birthday is going to be, so supposed to be birth date. So the birthday is supposed to be in dates. Little things like that. Then you need to connect. Okay, should I go there right now? Okay, so you need to be able to connect these things together, right? Like connecting your employee ID. So connecting this table now in the employee table to this branch table. That means what is the connection between this and this? It means that in the branch there's a branch manager, and the branch manager is also an employee of the company. So that means this has to be connected to this. The branch supplier has to be connected to the branch because the supplier supplies the branch, and it has to be connected with the branch ID. So there are connections between these tables. So you also need to know how to create that. So all of the functions that we did earlier while we're populating, creating, was just to achieve that, right? So you create table, what else? You alter the table. This is like connecting things together. Then I think we populate the table. That's where we use inserts, right? Then when you want to update, this is where we use updates. You update probably a client or an employee is leaving. That's where we use updates. Then inserts, yes, that's populating. And yep, then you want to drop, in case where you need to drop the table, or yeah, you want to delete. So basically this is like trying to work on the table generally. So I think that's what we've done so far. And last thing we did, I think, was working on this too. So basically there's more to it, right? Is That's just like setting up the infrastructure, setting up the whole database. Now you need to query it, because after these have been populated, we have populated these ourselves basically, where we use insert. So now if I move to class 4, I think I was working. Okay, class 4 contains everything we have done. So I added some other things. I'm just going to silence those things. I think, was this included? So I'm just going to, I think this one was not there. Yeah, so this is class 4 SQL sheet is just containing everything we did so far. So like from dates, we have 205 here, so I think it's about there. Yeah, so it contains everything we've done so far. So the reason why I did it like that, I created a new. So when I continue from here, uh I'll probably create it separately, so that when you want to create, you have a different script to create everything. Maybe I'll split it like that. So you have a script to define your database. You have another script to populate. You have another script to query, to make informations and like that. I think like we did in Excel when we are trying to create multiple sheets. I'm just going to create a new tab here, like a first script. So I'll just go straight into what we have to do today. So a lot of people have been saying like it's German, it's Greek. So we are going to try to translate Greek to English. So now let's just start with something simple. So we have tables here, right? All these tables have information with it, so we can try to query them. So just doing basic queries, and we have been using select statements quite a number of time, quite for a while now. So the select statement is you use it to basically start. It's like the initialization of your scripts. So select, um, similar to the English meaning, like you're trying to pick from something. So you select. So the star means all, right? You're selecting all, and from something. So like select everything from a bag, a lady's bag. So you're supposed to pick everything, right? So I'm just going to say select from, sorry, from, so we're going to start with the employee table, employee, and I close this and I end this. Now, if you look at this, all of these are tables, right? This is all of these tests, SYS, that's system, importing Nigerian class company, Nigerian, they are all database, right? They are separate database. So inside the database, you have tables, right? Inside each table, you now have records, you have columns, you have index, and all of that. So yeah, just to describe that. So what we are doing here is, I think what we're doing, the practice we're doing before was we'll have to include IJAN class component dot employee, right? Then close this. So yeah, so this is more of like we are trying to view what is inside the table. So let's forget that we've created tables. Let's forget about those commands and all of those. Let's look at the database that we already have, right? Built already, that we want to get information from. We just want to we have a few questions we're asking and we need to see them. So that's basically what we're going to be doing today. So I think that will simplify everything. So we have a table like this, and we are saying, oh, select all from the employee table, and we are seeing everything in the employee table. So let's set our focus on the employee table now, and we'll try to run some operations with it. So we have the employee ID. So the ID is the primary key. A primary key once again means it's what it is. That's the column that is used to identify each row uniquely. I wouldn't use David because David can appear multiple times. Wallace can appear multiple, can have multiple things. So a primary key is more of like a unique ID that is used to identify that row, that specific row. It's unique. So that's why we have this. Then we have first name, last name, birth date, day, sex, salary. The super ID is like the supervisor. So David is the first employee. Definitely has a supervisor. That's it, like the CEO. Then Jan Levinson is like the second employee, so a supervisor is the, so you can just see the supervisor as the first person. This person's supervisor is this person's sorry, can I select? Yeah, this person's supervisor is Michael Scott. This person's supervisor is David, and this person's supervisor is Josh and Josh. Yeah, so that's supervisor. Then the branch ID states the branch which they belong to. So that's another thing. You need to be able to understand what each column means. I think I mentioned that in Excel. You need to be able to know what each column actually means, what it stands for, what it signifies, the kind of information that is meant to be in it, right? So now, so we have select all from this table. Now, like I said, let's just keep our focus on this table. So we'll just ask a few questions and just to get our foot running. So we have this. So let's do something else. So let's assume that we want to just view just the employee ID, the first name and the last name, right? So rather than use select all, we can say select employee ID. Sorry, that's supposed to be a comma. Yes, first name, and last name. Okay, no. Last name. Then from, just copy my way through. Yep. So if I run this, now I'm
Sorry,
supposed
I
to
have a
get,
question.
okay.
Where did you get the data from? Data.
Oh, okay. With data we are using was created in the previous classes. We created this data ourselves. I don't know if you have followed up on the previous classes. So, and the scripts are actually available. That's where we have this other scripts. I think I sent it to the group. Yes, I did. It's still there. Maybe I'll resend it. If you need it, I can forward them to you.
Please send it. I stopped on class 3.
That was, I think it was up to class 3. But I would forward it. Let me just see. It was just last week I sent it. But anyways, I'll just forward it to the group so you can pick it up from there. I think for every other person too that needs it. Okay, so let's continue. So yes, so we are trying to just select the first name and the last name and the employee ID. So you can see all you have to do is put in the column name and you are there already. So if you want to select as many as possible, supervisor, I think that's super ID. Um, what else? Let's say branch. I want to see the branch they belong to. That's branch ID. So running this, yes. So you can see we have this. Now there's an additional command. So let's say we want to just see the first 5 people in the table, like just the top 5. So the way to do that is we have an extra command for that, and we call it limits. So it is called limits. Limits. So limit set, it's no, like I mentioned earlier, all of the SQL statements are English like. So you can just attach English meanings to all of them. So for this, if I use select from limits, select all of these things from this table and limits the results to 5. What would this do? I think this was one of the things we first classes. So this will just basically returns the first 5 in your query. So we have started query. So select what you want to select, then from where, then you limit it by this. So you can actually choose what you want to select from. So let's just say we don't want last name. We're not interested in that. We are not interested in. Okay, yeah, I think this is good enough.
Sorry. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. So I think you were about saying something.
Okay, so I said the command give us the entire table.
Yes.
Okay, so the second one also the same thing. So it is either we use the first or second.
Okay. Um, was it everything that the first one gave us? No, it wasn't everything. So the difference between the first one and the second one is with this one is going to just select everything in the table, everything. With the second one, it's going to just pick some selected things. So we don't have salary here, we don't have sex in this table. So those two things, we don't have birth dates. So if I run this, those things are going to be missing. So can you see? It's not the same thing.
Okay.
All right. So just to put it, so to demonstrate, like explain it better, the star just like I said, it selects all. So that's what it actually means. We call it all, like select everything. While this ones, this is used to just pick the specific columns that you want to see. So if you don't want to see everything, sometimes you might have too many columns, sometimes even up to 50. I think I've seen data sets that had up to 30 also. So you might not want to pick everything. You might have a description file that tells you, oh, these are the columns out there. So you just want to just pick the ones that you need and filter and get to your queries or your results or your analysis based on that. So that's why I'm just showing. So you can actually do that this way. So you just pick out the columns you want and you run it this way and you get what you have here. And if you now want to limit, you don't want to see everything in a database or in a table where you have over 10,000 rows or records, you're not going to want to view everything, right? So you're just going to want to see, okay, maybe like have an idea of what the contents are. So that's when you now use limits. So when you do this and you click this, it limits your results to 5. So you're just going to get the first I'm just going to get the first 5 table. Oh, sorry, first 5 records in that table basically. So let's try something else. So we have um, a statement that is called flitter. So I'm just going to copy all of this and paste it here. So now let's assume we want to filter these results or the results that we have based on, so I'm just going to add one more thing here, sex, and put this here. Now, what you have in this table, you can see that the columns are arranged the way I arranged it. If you checked this, the first one, the sex is not the last, the branch ID is the last, because that's how it's in the table. But if I want to redefine it, I just change how it comes out. I can just use this. So in fact, I can put first name here, and I can put first name down here, right? And like run this. Can you see? First name is going to appear here. So that's the advantage of this one. It's the order is on you, so you get to decide how you want it. So now let's assume we want to now filter this, right? We don't want to see everything. We want to filter results. So to filter, I think I mentioned it last class, we use a statement where. So you are selecting these columns from this table where let's say we want to see all the males. So we just have to call the column, that's xex equals male, and run this. So can you see how it's, I think I'll just take this away from here. I don't want this here, it's looking somehow. So let me just put it here, comma. Okay, so running this now, yeah, so we have the employee ID, we have the first name. So basically we have all the records for all the names in the company, and we can also do well to put a limit to it, limit 5. So we just want the top 5, and there we have it. So here we have the employee ID, we have the first name, we have the super ID, supervisor, we have the branch which they belong to, and we have their sex. So we can also add salary. So let's add salary to the next query. Salary. I like to work with that. So salary. So we run this. Yeah, so you're going to get all the salary for the meals. Now let's now add something else. We already have where sex is male, right? So you can also include an additional statement. So we can have multiple filters, if you remember with Excel. So we can say maybe where the salary is less than 100, yeah, 100,000. So that would be salary, sorry. salary less than 100,000 and run this. Now we are going to get everything else, everything except the first one, because the first one, the first person is like, let's say the first person that came to the company, so his money is way supervising everybody, is like the oldest person in the company. Maybe that's why his salary is that much. So doing this now, we have currently what we have in this table is the top five male employees that are earning less than 100,000. So I can just put the comments here. So top five male employee earning below 100,000, right? So here we are getting there basically. So I can just change this to all. Maybe I just want everything, so I'll just replace this with all. So it will give me all the details about the top five people, top five males. So here we are using the selects. We are reviewing from, we have where, and we have limits. So I have a few questions that I've actually prepared. So we have used select from, where, limits. So these are like little things. Okay, so I think there's also these functions that we used in sorry, that we used when we're working with Excel. That's just copy it. So where we have less than, we have greater than, we have equals to, we have equals to, and greater than or equals to, we have less than or equals to, we have or, we have and, we have or, and this signifies or denotes not equals to. Yeah, so we can use all of this, can actually be used inside the where statement for filters, right? So you can say where this and this, or where you can even decide to add, let's say we want to add something else, maybe their first name or births. Yeah, let's use date of birth. So just use and birthday. Birthday is greater than, so we want everybody that their birthday is greater than 1970. So 1970, I'm just going to have that here, 1970 dash 0101. Yep, and run this. So you can see, so this is going to filter for everybody that is above, that his birthday, his or her birthday is above 970. So I'm just going to add this top 5 male employee earning below 100,000 and dates of birth is above, is he above or below? Above, um is greater than, let me just is greater than, is greater than 97%. Yeah, so any questions before I proceed, before we continue? Are we being able to demystify the Greeks? Got any questions so far?
Sorry, line 16. Why did you have to put the top five on top? Is to define the
Okay.
program.
This double dash before the line 6, before this statement in line 16, helps to show that it's a comment. So comments are not going to be run, are not going to be executed. So basically, most of the time, what we use a comment for is to explain what you are trying to achieve in that particular line of code. So if I come to this statement next year, or I give it to someone else, since I'm not the one that writes it, someone else that picks up this should be able to be able to understand without having to stress much. That's the essence of comment. So the reason why I had to put top 5 male employee and in below is just to explain what is happening here. So you get it. All right. So yes. So we've done select from where limits. I think we have okay. So let's do something else. So now if you want to select um for instance you want all the unique you want to know how many unique variables are there, right, in a particular column. So let's use sex now. So nowadays, okay, I think I'm online. But let's just select. I want to know if there are more than two genders here, basically. I'm just up there. So select all. Um, okay, no. So I'll be using the distinct keyword. Sorry, I want it in caps. Things. Yes, so I'll pick the column I want. And from what table? From ijan dot employee and close this and run this. So you can see now I'm only getting the unique variable. So yeah, you can just see that the unique here. So this thing is like give me all the unique variables in a particular column. That's all. That's what the instinct does. So if I use this for the first name now, I'm probably going to get everybody's name. First name. So I'm going to get 8, 9, what was it, 8, 9 names. So I'm just going to get every unique names. So basically that's what the distinct does, but it's more useful when you're working with a categorical column, right? Maybe the column is categorical. You can see all the distinct names, that the distinct features of that, basically just the unique values that are there. So it's more of like as part of the flitter, like filtering for it. So in this case, so let me go back to where I used sex, and so I can append sex and let me see, what do we have in the whole of the table again? Okay, I can use sex and branch ID. Yeah, so let me use branch ID here. So branch ID. So now you're going to see across, you have male and branch 1. So you have so these are like the unique features combined together. So there's only one, there are males and branch ID 1, there are females in branch ID 1, there's male in branch ID 2, there's female in branch ID 2, there's male in branch ID 3, but there's no female in branch ID 3. So like those are like the unique features. So this is going to just bring out the unique things. But then if you check uh, the whole table again, right? If you check select, okay, I think I have it up here. So if you check the whole table again, you find out that we have branch IDs. We have at least we have two, 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 two. So these persons to here, they are all in branch ID 2. They belong to branch 2. Maybe I should call it that. And we have male and female, just male and females. Those are the unique sex or unique genders that we have in branch ID 2. In branch 2. In branch 3, we only have males, no females. So that's something you can look into. In branch 1, we have just male and female, although they are just 1 1, but though it's just male and female. So that's what this last part is doing. So basically, the instinct is just like, telling you the unique features of each branch, of each columns. So when you now bring multiple branches together, multiple columns together, it begins to tell you the unique features that are just unique when you have those three together. So that's basically what distinct does. So I think I have one more to go, and that's order. So let's say select. So we have a table, right? We have all of our table here. So we want to order this table in a way. So let's say we want to order it first of all by the first name. We want the first name to be orderly, right? Then let's see what we have from there. So let's stick with that for now. So let's say select all. I've come back to using all. Select all from here. Now select all from the table. Now we now order. So there's a um there's a format, or there's a arrangement in which they go. You can't have um you can't have order by, you can't rearrange all of these things, right? You can't have from select order by. No, it has to be, that's another key thing that we should pay attention to. So the arrangement is actually how it should be: select dash from dash order by. So we said we want to order it by the first name, so we just go ahead and put first name, and we run this. Yep. So you can now see everything is ordered by just the first name. So we have Andy, Angela, David, um, John, Jim, Josh. So you can see this is already ordered only by the first name, right? Now let's do something else, right? So I'm going to change the ordering. I'm going to order it by the supervisor ID. So let me just copy this and order by the supervisor. Sorry, just one sec. Sorry, everyone. Um, completely forgot about this. Okay, so by the supervisor ID, and yes, so they are all sorted now by the supervisor ID. So we can see this. Now there are situations where, for instance, now if you check the supervisor ID from here to here, we have Jan Levinson, we have Michael Scott, we have Josh Potter, and they all belong to the same supervisor ID, right? So we can do something else that, okay, for after sorting by the supervisor ID, we also want to sort those that belong to the supervisor ID by their first name. So what do I mean by that? That's like sorting with multiple statements. So after sorting by the supervisor ID, now the contents or the files, the rows of a unique supervisor ID should now be sorted based on their first name. So what this will now do is it will sort this based. So if you look at these three columns now, you found out that aside sorting by the supervisor ID, it has now sorted Jan, Josh, and Mike according to their first name. So they are now all sorted in their first name. If you check this person's too, where they belong to, Michael Scott is their supervisor. They are all now sorted by their first name, right? Same with the rest of the Angie and Brady. So if you look at this, you can try to change this too in a situation like this. Now I think LPS MK. Oh yes, if you look at this now, Martin, Capo, and Udsin. If you decide to sort by the last name, the order is going to change. So that's where you use order by. So order by is more of like your sorting in um sorting in Excel. So when you use order by, it's like you're trying to sort. When you use where is like you're trying to filter. Um, from select, I think that's pretty much clear. Then when you use limits is like you're trying to reduce. You're trying to get maybe like top 5 or the top 10 or top 100 of a particular query that you have decided to use. So query, yeah, the query you have decided to send out. So yes, so before we proceed, do we have, I think we have done like the basics. Yeah. So do you have any question? Anything? Okay. Um, should I take that as a no question? Sorry. Okay, so let's proceed since there are no questions. So now let's now I have a few questions that I've actually prepared, and I think we can now ask based on, now we've interacting with this table. Now we found a way to interact with it. We can do something simple. So if I ask you to probably interact with the branch supplier or the client or the employee, or sorry, or the branch, you can use this to interact with them easily. So you know the syntax: select the particular row, yeah, if you want all from the, this is the database and the company, sorry, and the table, then your query or whatever you want to do. Now so I think we are just going to work with the employee table for now and just ask a few questions, and yeah, we'll see where that gets us to. So the first one is finding all the employee order. So find all employee ordered by sex, then name. So I think I want us to speak up now. From what we have now done, how do you think we can achieve that? Anybody? So we want to get all the employee. So we are just getting all the employee, but we want to order them by sex and name. Please respond. Do I want to call names? Who's just joining? Okay. So who's responding?
Select the. I don't understand your question. Sorry.
The question is, we want a table or want to view all the employees, right? But we want them in an ordered fashion where it will be ordered by the gender first, then the name. Let's say first name.
Let's say it's select all from agent class complaint of employee ordered by sex or man. First name, sorry.
Yeah, it's basically what we just did last, like the last thing that we had on the screen. So it's basically just select all. And so I'm just going to copy this since we already have it here, and I'll paste it. So it's select all from this. Then we are now ordering now instead by the sex and first name. So if I should remove this, so let's see the order. So I think, sorry, this give, sorry, yeah. So that way I've commented this part out. So you can see I can do that too. So you can put a comment before, oh sorry, after the line, after your inputs, not before. You put it before, like you see this one now, everything here is commented out. But if you put it after, your comment can stay there, so you can use it to describe what is going on that particular line. So I just want to run this first. So if you see this now, if I see that all the informations here are sorted by this, just the gender, right? So we have the female first, then we have the male. Now if you check the female, you have Jan first, we have Angela second, we have Kelly. Then also here we have David, Michael, I think Stanley is his, Andy is he, and it's somewhere down. So if you now include um this, so if you include this now and you run this, you're going to see that after sorting by this, by the gender, it's now going to go ahead to sort it by the first name. So you see that the first names are actually being sorted. So if there's a situation where you have two Angelas, right, you can go ahead to sort it by the last name, or you can use the employee ID to sort them instead. Just sorry, I used sort. If you have two Angelas, you can use the last name to order it. Yeah, I think it's sort. I wanted to mention it later. So yeah, it is actually sort. You use it to sort it. So now, yes, that's one. So let's look at another one. So if you're being asked to check to find the first um 5 employees in the table, how do we achieve this? Anybody? These are still simple. I'm just doing it so that we can follow along and try to get our
Come again.
attention. Says, how do we get the first 5 employees in the table?
Limits.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much simple. That's just limits. Chito, I'm going for you. You're the next person. So can just use this. I think I even have it somewhere up here, but just for emphasis sake. So you select all from this, then you now you call the limits statement and you put what you have here. So you get the top 5 and the first 5 in that list. Of course, it's not sorted, right? So you are getting it in the raw form as it's appearing on the table. So let's assume now you want the table to be sorted in terms of their salary, so from highest to lowest, and you still want the top 5. In that situation, how do we do that? What do we do, Tito? So now the question has changed from first 5 employees to find the first 5 employees with the highest salary. Tito, are you with us? Oh, you're not with us.
I'm here.
Okay. So we have this, and we want it. What we did right now was to get just the top 5 employees, but now we want it with the highest salaries. We want to know the top employees with the highest salaries. So what do we do? How do we do that? How do we achieve that? Any ideas? There's no wrong idea, don't worry.
We'll order by salary.
Yeah, so we order by salary. So hold on. So if I use order by salary, and I run this, I'm going to be getting the lowest. Because
Where
okay, continue. We're saying
order by salary, where
okay. You don't have to give me the exact statement. You just have to tell me what we have to do, and I can implement it from here. The idea is all I need. Okay, so uh,
no, where salary is greater than equal to
okay, so the way to break this down is first of all, what we want to do is we want to find top 5 employees with the highest salaries. So first of all, we have to first of all arrange our table in a way that the top salaries come first. So if I decide to remove this filter, for instance, now, right? So I'm just going to be filtering this based on now. That means my salary is still not arranged. So there's a statement, right, that is used to filter. So it's called as ascending. There's ASC. ASC means ascending. So if I use this, of course, the default is ascending, right? But to make it in descending, I have to use this statement, and now it's in descending order. So just the point was try to break the problem down. So when you're giving a question to find out, or a question to query about, or a question to answer, you have to break it into chunks. Then you begin to solve them one by one. So in this situation now, the first thing was to first of all get the employees, sort it by salary from highest to lowest, then get the top 5. So that's more like multiple trying to break it down basically, sure. So when you now do this, it's in descending order, then limits by 5, and we are there. So here we are going to have the top 5, and we can now decide that, oh, we want, after ordering by salary, we want to order by uh we want to order by birth date. We want to see who is the oldest, right? Will that work? Okay, no, let me see. After there's not two persons with the same salary. So even if I decide to after ordering by salary, if I decide to order by first name, I'm still not going to get any difference. Not going to make any difference to this. Because the salaries, most of them have different salaries. But if there was two columns that had unique salaries, then it would have been easier to add an extra filter. But since we don't have that, so I'm just gonna take this and yeah. So let's look at another situation where okay, I think this one is a bit simple. This one is just finding the first name and the last name of every someone says
Yeah,
something.
sorry, please.
Okay.
You are not audible again.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
How about now? Oh, sorry about that. Mike. Okay, so continue. I said the next one is actually very simple. It's just getting the first name and the last name. So I'm just going to skip that. Okay, since I think we are going to need it for the next one, so I'll just probably do that. So what we want to do is we need just the first name, and I think that's what we dealt with first of all. So uh, first name, first name, and last name. Yeah, so this gives us the first name, the last name. Now, We want to rename the column name. We don't want it to be first name and last name. We want it to be something else. For instance, if I had thanks to this, I would like to rename. Oh shoot! I think I ran everything, so it created multiple things. So I think back here, just run this one. Yes, I have this. So I have first name, last name, and sex. So I want to rename all of these columns. I don't want it to be like this. So I have what I want to rename now. So I'll just say um rename first first name to forename, comma, last name to surname, comma, sex to gender. Sorry, to gender. Yeah. So I want it in this format. And how do I do that? So there's another statement, SQL statement, that is called has. So has basically can now take in whatever you want it to be like. So and mind you, so let's just run this first. Yes, so you can see now the four is no longer full name, it's no longer last name. And now mind you, the whatever you are doing here does not affect the content of your database. All of these are just queries. We are sending out queries to the system. We're sending out queries to the database like, oh, this is what we want to view, this is what we want to see. You are filtering your view from, you're just taking out the portion of the part that you need from database and how you want it to look like, what you need from it basically. So that's the idea of of SQL. Like you need something from the database and you need a way of getting it. So you need to know how to do that, and that's one of the reasons of this query language. So getting this so changing this from first name to name is just an alias. It's like setting an alias that, oh, we don't want first name to come out as first name, we want it to come out as name. We want last name to come out as surname, and we want sex to come out as gender. So you can see what's going happening here. So it's going to see it's just renaming uh the column names basically. That's what it does. The column name is still remaining the column name. So I check what's still there. Select all. This looks long. So if I check it, you should find out that it's still there. Everything table is still the same thing. So you're not going to change anything. It's just what you want to see basically. I'm just going to take this out back and oh, that was somewhere in the middle. Okay, I should have been down here. Yes. Okay, so now let's do something like want to get want to know the, I think I mentioned it, but this time around with the branch. So we want to know the branch, the unique genders that are in each branch. Yes, so that's the way the question might come out. So like the unique genders in each branch. What are the unique genders in each branch? Of course we know, and I think I've done that already. Oh, since we are just writing it, so we just write unique genders, sorry, unique genders in each branch. So yeah, as usual, we need the branch and we need the gender. So we are going to be selecting the gender, that's the sex. So I'm just going to say sex as gender, right? And branch ID from this company, this database, sorry, this table. Yes, so that's like the first way. So it's going to just give me everything now, and I want the unique things. So to just put unique, I'm just going to add these things here. Sorry. And this gives me, I think we've run this before. So here we have it. So you have the unique genders in each branch. So that's like the basic, working with the basic SQL statements. And I call it basic, I meant basic, like select, where, right, from, order by, there's still one more, but like these are like the basic ones for your query. I think I mentioned today actually that we're just going to be talking about DQL. So DQL, we mentioned this in the last class too. When we're talking about queries, yeah, so there's DQL, there's DDL, there's DCL, there's DML. The DML is data manipulation language. There's a part of Excel that allows you to manipulate your table, change the records, whatever things you have inside. You can actually edit it and customize it, if that's a word, with this statement, with the DML. Why the DCL is used for granting permissions and all of that. I think I mentioned that we will not get to use this. It's basically for granting permissions when you're like more like a senior um engineer that has to give others permission. Then DDL is definition language, so you use it in defining your table, your schema, what features to be there, what it should look like, what the primary key to be, how many columns, how you want your columns to be like. So you use this, that's the DDL, and use the DQL, that's the data query language, for querying. Basically you just want to query, and that's what we have been working with. So basically everything we have been covering are just basically under, they're classified under the DQL, that's data query language. Okay, I think I have a few things, but before I go on, before we finish for today, is there any question? Okay, looks like I can proceed. All right, so I'm going to take that as a go ahead. So proceeding, now there's some other statements we have in Excel, sorry, we have in SQL. They are used for averaging. We call it aggregations, average, sum, count, right? I think we can stick with these three for now. So let's look at a situation where we want to count the number of employees we have, right? So what we can do is, to count, we are going to use a count statement. So we're going to say just select Now, normally you just select all, right, from the table. That's how we do. That's how we do it, right? Then dot employee. But this time around, so if you run this, you get everything in the table. But we don't want to get everything. We want to count what is inside. So what we do rather instead is we are going to wrap this around the count statement. So we say count, open and close. So what is going to happen here is it's going to count everything that is inside it. So everything that is coming out will be counted instead. So you get 9. So it means that we have 9 rows inside. So if I use count as, you can see that the column name is different. So let's say count as total. What's wrong with me? Total counts. We'll call this. So you're going to see that it's going to just rename it to total count. So you are getting the total count of the employees presently in ijan class component is what is 9. So it's an aggregation. It's more of like a mathematical. You're just trying to do some mathematical operations on what we currently have. Basically, that's basically it. So if I so having done this, select count. So you're counting all everything inside here. So now we can start to do, explore more. So we can say count, give me the number of employees that their age is greater than 1970, right? So that way I will just, so I think this is, so if I put a comment, this is total count total count of employees in ijan company, ijan class company, right? So if I'm now supposed to get the total counts, the total counts of employees that are total count of employees that are older or that have date of birth, dates of birth greater than 1970. So now what will happen will be that I'll have to add a filter, right, to filter this out. So first of all, I have to first of all get, oh, those that date of birth are actually greater than 1970. So that will be like select all from as usual ijan class company dot employee. Now a filter saying that where the date of birth, so I think I use, is it date of birth, dates of, no, I don't think it's date of birth. Let me check with this. I think it's birthday, where birthday is greater, is greater than 1970. Now mind you, I cannot just put 1970 here. I will get an error straight off because it's not going to see 1970. Of course, this is not working. Yes, well, it's not giving an error anyways, but it's, to do it properly you have to include this in something like this. This would not still work actually. Yep. So it's supposed to give you day, year, months and day. And if I run this now, okay, this is telling me the speed, and that's, yeah. So I'm going to get the employees that are actually above 1970. Then I can now wrap this statement around the counts. So I'm just going to say count and 8. So I get 4. So it tells you that, oh, there are just 4 employees that their age is greater than 1970. So their age, they are born after 1970, or should I say 1969. So if I can just rename this as employees before 1970, and yes. So you notice that I had to enclose this in a quote. The rest that I've been using for the as statements, there was no need to enclose in the quote because it was a single statement. It was connected with another score. But this one is not connected. So if I don't enclose this in a quote, it's going to actually see it as different statements. So as employees before, so before is also, don't see before like an extra statement, which is why I have to enclose it in a quote, and gives that a definition. So it has actually redefined this and tells us, oh, there are 4 employees that were born after, I think it's after, it should be after, yeah. So they are born after 1970, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think I mentioned there's average, there's sum, there's count. So let's make an instance with sum, what we can use the sum to do. So I think before we entered here, let me see. I need everything. I need the whole table actually, because I want to work with salary, because salary has digits actually. It actually makes sense to use that. So now we can actually do something very interesting. Let's say we want the sum of salary for a particular branch. Should we do that here? Okay, let's just do, let's go there yet. Let's just sum all the employee salaries. Let's just sum everybody's salary. I want to know how much the company is even spending, right, on salary per month. So we are going to write the select all. As usual, I will actually prefer to break this down and write it, then begin to tweak the code one after the other. So in case you need to write something complex, right, you can just start by writing the simple ones first, then begin to find your way through. Then as you become better, it will be easier to just write up a complex query straight up. So we want to sum all the salaries, right? So we just want salary. So it's giving us all the salary, and what else? Just enclose it in a sum. And this should sum them up together. And here you go. So currently we are spending $836,000 on salary for this company. So that's how to use the sum. So you just use it on a particular sum and it gives you the sum of that salary, right? Now if you now want to filter, so you want all the salaries for male, so you can now add a filter. Sorry, I didn't add the comments. So the comment is sum of salaries, yeah, sum of salaries generated per month. Yeah, so the reason why I'm having to just pull up some of these things is so you can see that you can actually drive questions from there. So you are trying to do an analysis and you are seeing the sum of salaries that is being generated per month. You can know, okay, this is what the company is doing, this is how much is going out, this is how much is coming in. Okay, I wanted to filter based on, let's say, for male. So where sex equals to male, sorry, male. So you're going to see the male is actually having 608, while the female, sorry, while the female is actually having 228. So like the ratio from between the male and the female is actually very high. That's like 1 to 3. So that's like 1 to 3 of the whole of the salary, the ratio of the salaries basically. So you can also check for average. That's so I think I mentioned average sum account. So average is not going to be average. Average is known as AVG. So I'm just put an equals to this so nobody gets confused. So average, so to get the average, so let's do the same thing. So we just want to get the average of the salary that is being spent per month. So let's average and average of total salaries per month. So if I take this out and I have this here and I run this, yeah, so you get the average of the salary. So there's an average of 920, so $92,888,000, 88.89 that is currently being spent as salaries. So that's using average, sum, and count. So like the aggregation, they are called like aggregation. You use them for aggregating your values together, like getting a sum, you get an average, or you want to count a list of things that are currently in your list. And mind you, I think I did it the other time. So I have all of these queries now, like over how many? I don't know, I've lost count. I have a lot of queries here. If I select everything and I decide to run everything at once, so what will happen is everything is going to create a tab. So um right under my queries, my results, there are so many tabs down here that contains different outputs for each queries. So that's one of the things that happens when if I run everything together. So I think I've been running. So that's what happens. I'm just going to close it just to show you. So in case when you get this, you can just run everything. But I would advise that. I would advise you trying to run it one after the other. Try to, in fact, if possible, don't run with the one I have. Just go ahead to a new SQL sheet, then start running it. Try to get the question. Just read the comments. Then try to run it on your own. And if you're not now getting it, you come back to uh the SQL, the file, and you see how to work with it better. Then you now go back to it. I think that's what I'm going to actually prescribe for everybody. So I think you have come far. And do there's still one more, but before that, do we have any question? Or okay, let me just take the last one. So the last one is called a group by. So the last one is called a sorry. The last one is called a group by. Is used for actually use it in conjunction with your aggregation function. Sorry, your aggregation statements, right? So when you want to, for instance, now let's assume we I'm trying to give an example. So we want a situation where we need the counts of the females and the males in our queries. We want to know how many females there are and how many males that exists. So we just don't want to know the total count. For instance, when we're doing select all, from ijan class company dot employee. Yeah, so when we're doing this, we have everything. Then if you use counts, you're going to get counts 8, and you run this, you get 9. But we don't want this. We want a situation where we can actually get the total number of employees. We want to know the proportion, the number of males and the number of females. So in that situation, we are going to now use group by. So to do that, we are going to add count. Then you call the group by function or the group by statement. It's actually two. It is group and by this together. It's not group like this. No, it's actually like this. So you call the group by, and let's put sex. So that's the column we want to actually filter with. So when I run this, so you can see that we have 6 and 3, but we don't know what 6 and 3 is. We don't know what belongs to 6 and 3. Now if you come here and you had an extra column that says sex and you run this, it's going to now break it down to you. You say, oh, sorry, count 8 and sex, that's a column, and we have 6 males and we have 3 females. So that's like a way you can use the group by might be. I'm trying to just make it simple. Can actually be a bit tricky to use. Sorry, I used 8 here. I was having a mistake. Okay. Guess I'm still getting. Oh, that's strange. I should have gotten an error there. So back to this. So I said you can use group by to I'm trying to group the total number of counts that I'm getting based on the uh what's it called, based on the gender. So if I decide to use, for instance, now like the first name, and I have to call the first name here actually, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it's an error. Let me see. Should I try to see what it's saying? No, it's not even coming out. But obviously we know what the error is. It should have been first name. So here we go. So we have them. But of course you can see it's just one first name. That's why the group by would not actually make sense with uh with the first name. So I'm just going to change it back to 6. Yes, and run this. Yeah, so another use case for this would have been average. So where you have to get the average of let's say the average of, let me see, of salaries between male and female. Yeah, so you want to get the average of the salary. You want to see, oh, okay, the distribution properly. So we can now do this. So I think we can still use this. Oh, by the way, this is goodbye. This is counts of male and female employees in the company. So in case you're using something else, more like other data, you can use this to get the distribution of your data across more like, you call it demographic statistics. The respondent of your data, who are those that are there. So in case, I don't know if you remember the driver when we're working with drivers. So in that situation, you want to know, okay, the demographic is like their state of origin, their name, where they are from, are they male or female, what's their occupation. If you're working like an occupation, if you're working like a drivers, we all know that they are all drivers, right? You want to know their country. So those are like demographic things that can be attached to them, like location or by nature anyways. So want to check for this now the average of salaries between male and female. So definitely we have to change this to average, and we are filtering by sex. And okay, so it's actually average of salary. Yes. Then the gender here. Then sorry. Then from this, then we want to group it by gender, and run this. Yes. So now you can see that we have the average of the salary. So instead of having it like this, let's just as average. Then let's assume I want to have the gender first. So let's put the gender here. And sorry. And just that, and yeah. This is more cleaner. Yes, more simpler. So we know the gender. Male, that's 101, and the female is around 76,000. So that's like the average of the salaries between the male gender and the female gender. So you can even extend this to like the branches, across the branches. So if you want to do that, you have to use branch instead. So in where you have gender here, what you're going to have there is branch. Okay, let's just run it. So average salaries and branches. So I'm going to have the average salaries in branches, and take this and put this here. So what am I going to change here? So here I'm going to have branch instead, branch ID, and the average salary as average. Then from this company, and I'm going to group by the branch, sorry, the branch ID. And here you go. Yes. So we have the branch ID, we have the average of the salaries in. So you can see that the first one. So if I even had, let me see if I can add an extra thing here. Let me see. It's of course it's going to be an error. Just want to try it. Okay, I think, okay, maybe I'll just explain that last. So you can see, so we have been able to get the average of the salaries for across the different branches. So far what we've done was just working with just one of the tables, like looking at it like a table that is already given to us to work with, get queries from, get things from. So basically that's all that we have implemented today, and we're just able to do that using like I'll call it again, basic SQL commands like that we can use out there. So for select to, so far so good. What we have covered today, select from group by where statements, limits, right, average, counts. We've also used sum. Oh yes, for alias we used as. So I think this like oh we have, oh yes, we also use distinct for getting unique values. Yep. So I think that's it. So we use ordered by, oh yes, order by. Did we? Yes, I think we started with that. Order by. Yes, order by. So here we have our queries and everything we have done so far. So I think can take a break here for today. So if there are questions, I would like to take them now.